Hi everyone. There are times when you wonder how you can get the best out of your ISO or ISO and auto ISO settings. Whether you're shooting in low light or you're shooting fast action or a cinematic video, setting the right ISO is the key for the high quality footage and photos. In this video, I'm going to show you how ISO and auto ISO work and how to set it up in your camera's menu. I'm going to do it on my Nikon Z6 III, but it is almost the same in most of the camera brands. So without any further ado, let's jump into it. ISO controls how sensitive is your camera sensor to light. The lower the number, it is less sensitive to light, and higher the number, it's going to be more sensitive. Higher ISOs like 6400 or 8000 or 12800 are used in dark environment. They say that if your ISO is high, it's going to produce some noise, but it is not true. High ISO has got nothing to do with the noise. It is actually the noise to signal ratio that produces noise, and in another term, it is the lack of the sufficient light hitting your sensor. And ISO has got nothing to do with your exposure. It is just a digital volume for the exposure that has already been determined and captured by shutter speed and aperture. Some high-tech cameras like Nikon Z6 III has a dual base ISO. There are two ISOs on this camera, 800 and 6400, that produces the minimal noise. 800 is used for the daylight shooting and 6400 is for low light. For a deeper dive into dual base ISO, you can watch this video of mine over here. Nikon Z6 III has a native ISO range of 100 to 64,000, and it can be extended to 204,800 thanks to the new design of the image processor and also the partially stacked sensor. This camera is very powerful in low light and produces amazing images. Now let's take a look at these different modes, and I will show you how they work and how you can set them up. We are in a photo shooting menu. Go to ISO sensitivity, and we're gonna set ISO to 100. It's the lowest base ISO on this camera. It is recommended that if you use auto ISO, set the lowest ISO on your camera. Turn auto ISO on, and we're gonna set maximum sensitivity to 320 and minimum shutter speed to 1/25 of a second, meaning the camera is not going to go higher than ISO 320 and lower than the shutter speed of 1/25. But in some new cameras, Nikon cameras, the camera goes below that minimum shutter speed just to prevent underexposure. I am going to start dimming the light over here. So you will be seeing that the ISO is going up. It's 200, 250, and it's going to go to higher ISO when the light is dimmer, 280 and 320. So when it gets to 320, then camera decides to go lower than 1/25 of a second. And as you can see, it is going down. We're in photo shooting menu, go to ISO sensitivity setting, and I'm going to set 100 ISO, which is the lowest ISO, base ISO on this camera, and it is recommended when you're using auto ISO. So turn on auto ISO, and the maximum sensitivity set to 320 and minimum shutter speed to 110. So we are in shutter priority mode. I'm going to start dimming the light, and you can see the aperture is changing to compensate for the dimming light. So it's f3.5, 3.2, and it's 2.8. It's the maximum opening of this lens. Then after that, it's gonna go and start using the auto ISO 125, 140, 160, and 320 when the light goes off. By using the mode dial knob on the top of the camera, you can switch between different modes. Set your camera to M, manual. When you are in manual mode, you are in total control over shutter speed and aperture. Freezing the motion or creating motion blur. And also the depth of field is in your control. ISO sensitivity setting in the menu, and set ISO to 100. Turn this on. Set maximum sensitivity, let's say to 1000. And as you can see, I can change the shutter speed. Also, I can change the aperture and control the depth. And the ISO is changing. So I prefer manual mode to the other two because it gives me total control over shutter speed and aperture that are responsible for the exposure. ISO is just a volume, a digital volume to boost your exposure that is already made by your aperture and by your shutter speed. Once your setting is in place, you can easily toggle between manual ISO and auto ISO just by pressing the ISO button on the top of the camera and just turning the sub command wheel in front of the camera to switch between auto ISO and manual ISO. While you are pressing the ISO, just by turning the command dial on the back of the camera, you can change the ISO. I use auto ISO in manual mode when there is a quick change in the lighting condition. It is much faster and easier to let the camera change the ISO. Let's say that you're following a bird or a deer and the light changes so rapidly, and you're not gonna be able to change the ISO manually, because in that case you're gonna lose the shot. And it is much faster when you use auto ISO. Just remember when using auto ISO, there is another feature on most of the cameras that you can use to control the exposure, and that is exposure compensation. When you're shooting in manual mode and you haven't turned on auto ISO, the exposure compensation doesn't work, doesn't do anything. In order to use exposure compensation in manual mode, just turn on the auto ISO and you can compensate for the exposure. Mastering ISO and auto ISO gives you the flexibility to adapt to different lighting conditions and different environment. No matter if you are shooting fast action or you're shooting wildlife, or you're doing bird photography, or just shooting a cinematic video, knowing how to use your ISO and auto ISO will take your photography and videography to the next level. I personally prefer using the auto ISO in manual mode because I'm in full control of aperture and shutter speed, meaning that I'm in control of motion, and also I'm in full control of depth of field. Thank you so much for watching the video, and if you liked it, just hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. I'm posting a new video every week on Monday and Tuesday, and by subscribing to the channel, you won't be missing any of the upcoming videos. If you have any question regarding photography or videography, just leave it in a comment. It's going to be my true pleasure to answer them. And as usual, take good care of yourself, keep shooting, and I see you soon. Cheers.